Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be going over how to create a high converting pop-up for your e-commerce store. So that way you convert your traffic optimally and you generate as much revenue as possible. Because of course, like the pop-up is going to be the backbone of your entire email marketing strategy. If you're not converting people as many people as you could, then you'll be leaving a lot of money on the table because you'll be receiving less people into your email funnels, welcome series, abandoned checkout, etc. So the pop-up is going to be the first step to have a great email marketing system. So with that being said, let's dive into how to create a high converting pop-up. But before I do that, let me go over some great examples as well as the different elements of a pop-up. And then finally, the mistakes to avoid before I dive into how to create the actual pop-up. So here I gathered some examples from different brands that I really like. I'm gonna go over every single one of these examples and then I'm going to tell you why I like them. So for example, for this example right here, we've got a 10% off, which is a pretty standard offer. What I really like, and this is something we've tried with clients, and this is something you should try too if you haven't, is in the first step of the pop-up, not having the email address block in there and just asking first if they want to receive the discount, right? So here they're asking, would you like 10% off everything in store? Yes, and then on the next step, you can have the actual email block. They're not actually having that block in the first step, as I mentioned before. And for whatever reason, this converts, in most cases, better than just having the email block right off the bat, right? And then they also have some social proof in here, which looks pretty cool. Here, same thing, they are asking for a question first. Well, not question, but they're basically having a warming question or warming step before the actual email block. So yes, I want the deal. I click here and then I receive the actual email block, right? Same thing here. Do you want 100% $100 off your first order? Yes, I do. So they're asking me a question here. Again, this works extremely well. For whatever reason, it works better than having the actual email block before. I guess is because we are actually getting some micro commitments from the client already. So if they click, yes, I do, they will most likely give us their email in exchange for the coupon code, if that makes sense. Here, very straightforward. And when it comes to pop-ups, and this is something we're going to touch on later, is simple works better than very complicated copy and a lot of copy. When it comes to the pop-up, again, very simple copy, short, concise, to the point, works way better. So hey, here's 15% off. Enjoy science-backed insights on optimizing your day, plus other discounts by signing up for our newsletter. That's it, very simple. And the email block right there. Here, and this is something I really like, it's called collecting zero-party data. They are collecting data about the customer even before giving them the option to provide their email to get the discount code, right? And this is something I already touched on another YouTube video I created I think 2 weeks ago, is the importance of collecting zero-party data, because that way they can personalize the welcome series and the copy and the offerings based on the results and just overall the what the client responded here, right? So you've got 30% off a Squatch subscription. To claim it, share which kind of soap you're currently using, and then they can select the actual soap, and then they'll receive the option to provide the email to get the discount code, which is very smart because again, they're collecting zero-party data in a very smart and natural way, okay? And finally, here we have a free item. As you can see, it is extremely simple. Limited time only, free item, and that's it. That's the offer, and that's the copy. Very, very simple right here. So that being said, let's dive into the different elements of a pop-up by order of importance, and this is really important. First things first, the offer is king. So the offer is by far the biggest needle mover when it comes to your pop-up. If your offer sucks, it doesn't really matter how good the copy is, how beautiful the pop-up is not going to convert optimally. What I mean by offer, I mean 10% off, 20% off, free gift with purchase, free shipping, a higher percentage. It could be cashback as well, a cashback offer. It could be a giveaway, etc. So if you're gonna A/B test something within your pop-up, make sure it is the offer first. And make sure you already found the winner offer, because again, like a difference between a different colors in your pop-up or a different word within your copy or whatever is not gonna move nearly as much as having a different offer. So like, for example, having $20 off versus 20% off. You never know what's gonna work best, so make sure you actually test that, okay? Second, we have the copy. So having different copy, obviously, this is going to have potentially an impact in your pop-up. So make sure you A/B test the copy later. And then finally, which is the less important thing, of course, it is important as well, but I wouldn't say, again, it moved the needle as much as the offer or the copy, but mostly the offer. Is the design. So the colors, photos, whatever, I mean, all of those elements are, it's nice to test them, A/B test them, but again, it's not going to make a huge difference, okay? And something I could add as well here is between, I would say, offer and copy is the triggers, right? So the triggers are like, for example, it's like showing the pop-up, for example, 8 seconds later versus 12 seconds later after landing on your store. Those are the triggers, or exit intent, right? Things like, or like scroll percentage as well. A/B testing those, it's gonna make a difference more than, in my experience, than copy and design overall in general, right? I mean, it depends. I mean, copy could go here as well. But I would say like design is by far the less important thing here. So that being said, let's dive into the biggest mistakes I see brands make when it comes to their pop-up. So first things first is like their offer is really weak. Let's say you have a $100 product and then you're giving out $5 off. That's nothing, man. So of course, like it's not attractive at all. So people will not give you their email address because of $5. And that's why I mentioned before, the offer is king here. So the offer should be the first thing you actually A/B test and see the impact of, okay? The triggers are off. So sometimes I see brands, I don't know, like for example, for desktop showing the pop-up 30 seconds later after landing, which is too much in my opinion, or like 2 seconds later, which could be too soon. I mean, for some brands, it's okay. I haven't seen any difference, but for some brands, when you show the pop-up very soon, so like, or like right after landing on the store, then it actually, it's very off-putting, if that makes sense. So again, A/B test the triggers and see which ones convert the best, right? Asking for too much information, that's another big one as well. It's like on the first, for example, on the first step of the pop-up, they'd have email, they'd have a phone as well, which is also a required block. So they're asking for email plus mobile plus asking a question. It's too much, right? So you want to ask one thing per step, all right? And we're going to create a pop-up later on this video, so stick with me. But this is really important, not asking for too much information right off the bat, and also not asking for too much information in one same step of the pop-up as well. So break that down into multiple steps, okay? Not optimized for devices, which is really important as well. I see many brands using the same pop-up for both mobile and desktop. It's really important to have separate pop-ups for each device and then have different triggers for each device as well, because the triggers are different for both, for desktop and mobile, right? So you want to make sure the pop-up is actually optimized for every single device. And then finally, not clear enough, too much copy. And this is something I see all the time, is like having a lot of information crapped together in the pop-up, and then yeah, just it becomes very confusing. If people sign up to your pop-up, it's because of the offer. It's because they're getting something out of it, right? So if you're promoting like 15% off, don't have a huge paragraph below it with a ton of information, because people will not read it. And again, it's really off-putting. So those are the biggest mistakes right here I see with brands, and make sure you actually avoid this when it comes to creating your pop-up. So yeah, with that being said, let's dive into the actual tutorial. So let's go to Klaviyo here, go to sign up forms, obviously, as usual. Let me move my hair right here. And then here you can select, I actually recommend using pop-ups always. I don't really like full page things. I don't really like flyouts or anything like that. I just actually use pop-ups. So let me select, this one looks pretty cool. I'm gonna call it YouTube demo, and then select your email list, create form. Now, you can use, before I dive into the details, you can use a teaser or not. A teaser is this right here. So when someone closes the pop-up, they still have that sticky thing on the corners. We like to put it here, but it is really up to you. I'm gonna delete it for the sake of this video right here. So yeah, by the way, for this video, I'm not gonna dive into the design aspect of your pop-up, because that's very personal. And to be honest, it's really easy and straightforward. I'm gonna dive into the dynamics and the right structure to use, as well as the different steps to use, because that's gonna be the most important thing by far. So first things first, keep the copy short and concise, and then ask for one thing per step. So in this, we have the email opt-in. I'm gonna add another step, which is gonna be the SMS opt-in right here. put it here right after the email opt-in. So of course for the email opt-in, 15% off, etc. For the funds, again, you can customize this based on your funds. So you can upload the funds to your Klaviyo account and then you can select those. And as I mentioned before, I would like to have another step where, so yeah, I actually reached the maximum steps. So if you're not collecting, because in this case, they are collecting zero-party data for this template. So they're asking for their preferences. One more question, are you more into stars or planets? So if you're not asking for this right here, so if you're not collecting zero-party data, which I actually highly recommend you do, you can have a first step where you, as I mentioned before, like these examples right here, where you could ask people if they want the code, right? So do you want 15% off your first order? Yes, I do, or no, thanks. If they click yes, I do, then the next step is going to be the email opt-in right here. But for this specific scenario, I'm going to keep the zero-party data step right here because I like it, and I think this is extremely important as well. So first step, email opt-in. Second step is the SMS opt-in. For SMS, I highly recommend you have a different separate offer, which is actually more enticing than the actual email offer. So if you're offering 15% off for email, for mobile, you could have, for SMS, you could have 20% off, 25% off, or 15 plus another thing on top of it, right? Because telling people they are going to get exclusive access to offers and all of that, like product launches and all that, is not going to work as well, right? People don't really care, to be honest with you. So offer something that's actually better than the email opt-in step, okay? So that's that for the SMS. Again, I'm not going to dive into the actual design and all that. So that's the SMS. And then zero-party data. Let me call it zero-party data. Of course, it really depends on your brand. The reason why they have this is because that way you can have a customized profile property for every client that actually submits the info. So let's say you have, and this is something I already showed on the YouTube channel, is like, let's say you have a skincare brand and then you want to know what their biggest skin issue is right now. It could be acne, it could be fine lines, right? So you can ask that question, and then you can have those two options in there, and then you can tailor the welcome series based on that information and the abandoned check and all that. And this is extremely powerful. If you try to please everyone with the same copy and convert everyone with the same copy, very generic, broad copy, you're going to end up not converting anyone. Of course, it's not that dramatic, but when it comes to, for example, some industries, it's really important to know the exact details of why the customer is going to purchase from you, what the main problems are. That's kind of copywriting 101, is understanding your customers' pain points and motivations as well. So that's that. By the way, I'm going to link my zero-party data collection tutorial with Klaviyo around here. So feel free to check that out if you want to learn how to collect zero-party data with Klaviyo and the different pop-ups, okay? So that's that for the zero-party data collection. And then finally, and this is a huge mistake I see people make, is you want to have the actual discount code on your success page. I know a lot of like email marketers, whatever, they like to tell people to check out their inbox to get a discount code. The problem with this is that we're adding an extra step to the entire funnel, and it adds a lot of friction, right? I understand like some agencies have a performance-based incentive, right? And so that's why they want to attribute as much money as possible to the welcome series, for example. So they're telling people to go to the welcome series to get the discount code and all that. However, here we want to make sure we convert as many people as possible. We're as effective as possible for the brands we work with. So we actually give the discount code on the success page. So you can have discount code with whether it is a dynamic one or a unique code in here directly, okay? Now, that's that for the structure. Let's get into the triggers, which are probably one of the most important things to talk about here as well. So first things first, let's say this is a pop-up we are creating only for desktop, right? So here, what I want to do first is devices, display on desktop, right? And then here for the frequency, you want to reduce it. 90 days is quite a lot, so I would do like 7 days or 14 days as well. And then here, the actual triggers, really important. So click on based on rules here. Again, this is for desktop. I want you to do, for desktop, we primarily use this rule right here, the only one we use. So exit intent, when visitor is exiting the page. I highly recommend you use this one for desktop, and that's pretty much it, okay? And then for targeting, Of course, don't show to existing Klaviyo profiles, and then you can URLs don't show on certain URLs. We actually exclude the cart, and then we also exclude the checkout as well. We don't wanna show, of course, pop-ups on your checkout or cart, right? So that's it for desktop. Now let's say we wanna create one for mobile. Again, you wanna have one for desktop and then one for mobile. All right, these are the triggers and the targeting for desktop, sorry. Now let's do mobile. So display on mobile here, frequency stays the same, and then timing based on rules. And then here we like to use a 8 to 12 seconds trigger, right? And then scroll percentage 75 to 85, I would say. So let's do 65, sorry. Right here, this is pretty solid for mobile as well. Again, you can A/B test this and see which one works the best. So for example, you can have a A/B test where you test 8 seconds versus 12 seconds, or 2 seconds versus 8 seconds, right? That's gonna be a huge needle mover. And then targeting stays the same as well. So the biggest difference between desktop and mobile is, again, the triggers. So how you trigger the pop-up, and then that's pretty much it. And then of course the design and how you structure different blocks here. But again, let's go over the structure. So first step of the pop-up, it could be the asking for the email right away with the offer. And again, very clear, concise, very short copy. Could be this, or it could be something like this where you ask a question first. You get some commitment from the client, and then you can provide the option to provide the email to get a discount code, right? Second step is SMS opt-in if you're collecting SMS, very important. Third step, we have zero-party data collection, extremely important. Please do this. Just one question, could be 2 questions as well, but if you're doing 2 questions, please make sure it's on separate steps. Again, you don't want to ask for too much information in one same step. As I mentioned before, that's one of the biggest mistakes I highlighted previously. Okay, and then finally, the coupon code. Again, show it on the success page. You want to reduce the friction as much as possible. If they're ready to buy, then give them discount code right now so they can purchase from you, okay? All right, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found value in it. If you did, please drop a like and a comment. And if you're running an e-commerce brand doing over 100K per month right now, and you want a high-performing e-marketing team to handle your e-marketing, please book a time with me below. No strings attached whatsoever. We can go over your Klaviyo account, put together a specific plan of attack, see if we can work together, and see if it makes sense for you financially as well. We've been doing this for over 4 years, and we've generated millions of dollars in revenue. So we know our stuff, and I can confidently say, based on my multiple Klaviyo audits I do every single week, that we are one of the best email marketing agencies out there. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.